So today is Sunday. It is Tesvov Elul, Tovshin Ayin Vov. I believe today is the day that Tomchei Tmimim was established in the Babich by the Rebbe Rashab. We're in the Maimon Basi Legani, Yutshva Tovshin Yud Gimel, in Sefer HaMamorim, Teres Menachem Sefer HaMamorim Tovshin Yud Gimel, and we are on page Pei Beis. I think we're someplace.
Emes.
Where are we up to?
5 lines down from the top of the page.
Al Emes, yeah.
The Mishum Zeh.
The Mishum Zeh Nidlisha, and for the so 5 lines on the top of the page. The line starts Klal, and we're up to the word Ha-Emes.
You go to the full stop.
You got to the full stop? So 6 lines from the top.
You haven't got the full stop. You've read it
Up to
on
the Kus. Kevin is asking about Pnimi Sorotzen and Chitzoni Sorotzen, and the fact that the intended purpose, the ultimate intended purpose of creation is Torah and mitzvahs and neshamas, correct?
I would,
As opposed to
it's almost. I would
Yeah.
just think that it's a bit arrogant of human beings to say that they definitely know the Abish's intentions are, and we can surmise and we can do it because that's how we construct our reality and our paradigms. Everything's happening, but I don't think we can assume that we actually know what's going on.
well, it's not us that made that determination, it's the Abishter that made that determination. When the sages say Bereshis, Bishvil Yisrael, Bishvil HaTorah, it's not that they pulled it out of a hat. That is what was transmitted to them. So in other words, let's do it like this. I mean, the metaphor that we used was a person engaging in a vocation or in a business endeavor for the purpose of earning a living, right? So the intended purpose is earning the living. The vocation is the means. You asked then, well, if he has all the money he needs, then he won't work, right? So in other words, or I think what you were asking last week was that the earning the living is not the ultimate goal. The ultimate goal is life. What you do with the money that you earn, so to speak, right? So there's another goal. In that sense, you're right. So in that sense, the metaphor is not an accurate one. But if you take I was trying to find an example of something where you have an end goal. It's not the ultimate end goal because you have other goals, right? But in the narrow example of the goal being to earn a living, and then having a means to earn the living, right? So of course you want both, but you want the latter. You want earning the living more than you want the means to earn the living, because that's what you're trying to achieve. So that's the Chitzoni Sorotzen and Pnimi Sorotzen. In terms of creation and the purpose of creation, it's based on Maimor Chazal. It's based on the Torah, and that's given by Hashem. Nis'ave HaKadosh Baruch Hu liyas leis baruch dir b'tachtenim. Hashem desired to have a dwelling place down here below, and this world is the ultimate purpose of creation. Is a Maimor Chazal. The sages have said that, and that was not just a decision, an idea that they came up with on their own, that they decided that's the way it should be. It's based on divine inspiration and what the Eibishter has transmitted, has communicated, right? So, excuse me. So the ultimate goal being dir b'tachtenim, in this world, making a dwelling place for Hashem in this world, through neshamas and through fulfilling Torah and mitzvahs, that's a message that Hashem has said. Okay, that's transmitted by Hashem. Now, why does he have that desire? We don't know. The why we don't know.
Okay, that's what I was referring
Yeah.
to.
So the why we don't know. Why did he desire? What does he need it for? Why did he want that? We don't know. Of course, it's unfathomable, as you say, by a human being. But the fact that that's what he wants, that's what he said he wants. Why? And it's like the expression that the Rebbe Rashab brings. I think he's quoting the Alter Rebbe, I'm not sure. Is af atayve is kinkasha nicht. Nisave. The expression is used as nisave, not rotzo. He wanted nisave. He desired. He had a taiva. And when somebody has a taiva, it's almost like an obsession. You don't ask any. You can't say why. The why doesn't come into it, right? So, so I think that's what it is. You have the method, then you have the goal, and then you have why, and then you have why. Why we don't know. But in terms of the method and the goal, in the method, or the means, in other words, you need a whole world in order to achieve that. So the aspects in the world that exist for the purpose of achieving the goal are chitzenis and otzam, are the exterior aspect of Hashem's will. Whereas the actual goal, the dira b'tachtonim, through how? Through neshamas and Torah mitzvahs, that's the goal. The goal is that neshamas should fulfill Torah, neshamas in a guf, souls in a body should fulfill Torah and mitzvahs. That's the goal. That's what he wants. That's how you make the dira b'tachtonim. So that's the goal, that's the Pnei Mitzvahs. There's another thing here that if we're talking already about different points, there's an expression over here. It says, if you take a look, in this section on page Pei Beis, line 3, V'lihiyos. The Rebbe says, V'lihiyos sheveteva kol Yisrael, being that it is the nature of every Jew, who she'enei reitze, that he does not want, v'enei yochel, and he cannot, the snifrit malakus, to be separated from godliness. Therefore, it is not possible at all, really, innately, for him to transgress, to commit a transgression, unless we have to do it, right? Now, I said last year that this is, I think, I said a quote from Tanya. In fact, it's not a quote from Tanya. I looked for the quote. It's in Hayom Yom. The Frierdiker Rebbe quotes it twice in Hayom Yom. I think one is on Chaf Aleph Sivan and one is on Chaf Dalet Tammuz. The Rebbe brings it there, quoting the Frierdiker Rebbe. But the Rebbe, in a number of places, says that this is a Torah of the Alter Rebbe. In a few Basi Leganis, they're not edited, they're recordings. They repeats it. It was a very, very common expression by the Rebbe. Ayid nicht will und nicht ken sein, ogerissen von dem Ebersten. That was the expression. Nicht will und nicht ken. He's not able to, and he's not. He doesn't want, and he's not able to. And if you remember this last year, I explained that he doesn't want to be separated from godliness. It's not just a double expression. One refers to Chaya, and one refers to Yechida. Chaya and Yechida, the two transcendent aspects of the soul. Chaya being the Rotzen, Yechida being the essence of the soul. So far as Chaya is concerned, a Yid doesn't want to be separated from godliness. Why? Because at the level of Chaya, the Neshama and God are still like two entities. The Neshama sees godliness. Whereas so far as Yechida is concerned, there is godliness. So therefore it cannot. That's a biur I heard. I have yet to find out where the source of this is. Because the source of this expression as a Torah of the Alter Rebbe, I'm looking for it. I'm looking for if the Rebbe says it's a Torah of the Alter Rebbe, we can rely on the Rebbe, obviously, that it's a Torah of the Alter Rebbe. But it's not in Tanya, this exact expression. And it's almost like a quote. It is a quote. In one Sikha, the Rebbe says, like the Torah of the Alter Rebbe, Shema Yisrael, Ayid nish tervil, nish teken sein ogerissen von dem Ebersten. So that's something that needs looking into. So it's not Tanya. I mean, in Tanya, the Alter Rebbe obviously alludes to it in other language, but not as this exact quote. In fact, that's why if you look, there are no footnotes over here. Mm-hmm. But when it says, I don't know why there are no footnotes here, because in other Mamorim, when it brings this exact phrase, Ayid, this is actually a phrase that's brought in the Frierdiker Rebbe's Basi Legani, which is a quote from a letter of the Frierdiker Rebbe. In neither of those places does the Frierdiker Rebbe quote it in the name of the Alter Rebbe. But the Rebbe says, Kidu Teres Admur Hazokin, not here, but in other places the Rebbe says this is a Torah of the Alter Rebbe. So I'm still looking into that. But anyway, the point over here is, the point the Rebbe makes is that when a Yid commits a transgression, even if it's a minor detail instituted by the sages, that means going against Hashem's will. And because he's going against Hashem's will, then he erais sich up. In that sense, he tears himself away from the Eibishter. Whereas a Ben Neach or Umas Ha'olam, who believe in Shituf, in partnership, which for a Jew would be idolatry, in the sense of going against Hashem's will, he's not going against Hashem's will, the Ben Neach, or, if he believes in Shituf. So in the sense that a Yid, by committing even a minor infraction, is going against Hashem's will, is worse off than someone who believes, someone who's not instructed on partnership and believes in partnership, even though that would for a Yid be idolatry. Now, in fact, if we're talking already, the whole concept of the way Chassidus explains Torah and mitzvahs this is actually the core of it. And this it's what Alter Rebbe explains in Tanya. Pip in the Prakim with Ches, Yotes, Chof, going along with those Prakim over there. What's a mitzvah? And what's an Aveda? It's not like there's a person and there is creation and there's a whole situation. The Eibishter says, I'm giving you a mitzvah, you have to listen to it. And we have to listen to the Eibishter. And if we don't, Chas v'sholom, we go against the Eibishter's Rotzen. The Alter Rebbe explains in Tanya that when a Yid, and this is basically the core of what the Rebbe is explaining here, when a Yid, to do what Hashem wants, to fulfill a mitzvah, is not to fulfill, of course, technically you're fulfilling Hashem's will, but the word is much deeper. It's a question of ein oid. If we genuinely believe that there is no other existence other than Hashem, so then fulfilling Hashem's will is a given, and God forbid going against Hashem's will is not just going against Hashem's will; it's a denial of ein oid. For a person to commit an infraction against Hashem's will means, he says, there is other existence besides the Eibishter. So it's kfira. It's not just, I have violated this minor or major instruction. No. By me, chas v'chalila, behaving against Hashem's will, what am I saying, in other words? That there's another situation outside of Hashem, God forbid. So it's kfira. It's a lot deeper than just not fulfilling Hashem's will.
Interfere as much as what is making him do it is his own taiva. So the shtus that
exactly.
Therefore, but that's not.
So what's the point?
Outside, he says, I'm outside.
Correct.
Then you separate yourself.
Correct. But really and truly, it's kfira. Technically, when the person does it, he's not doing it because he's kafir, chas v'sholom, because he denies Hashem's existence. He's doing it because of the Ruach Shtus, as the Rebbe explains here, and the Alter Rebbe explains in Tanya, right? And the Friedrich Rebbe explains in his Maimon. Because really and truly, a Yid cannot go against Hashem's will, not because he can't not listen to Hashem, because the neshama believes this is not the Eibishter. That's it. So what do you mean not to do Hashem's will? So how could a Yid? That's the question of the Zohar. How could a Yid do an Aveda? It's not possible. It's not. It's not. It's just not. It's impossible. So there's the Ruach Shtus. In other Mamorim, which we're going to mention, the Rebbe on this team says, okay, Ruach Shtus, but still, how does the Ruach Shtus have that power? So the Rebbe takes it a step further, even though it's a God-given power to the Ruach Shtus, that it should be able to make the person do something which is naturally impossible for him to do, right? But the vort over here is that if you, at the core of it, of course, it's not kfir in the sense that I'm not denying Hashem's will by committing an infraction. That's not what I intend, chas v'shalom. And that's why when it comes to Mesiras Nefesh, when one is face to face with it, and there's no other way of interpreting it other than nifred melikus, other than being separated from the Eibishter, a Yid can't help himself and goes on Mesiras Nefesh. Because over there, the Ruach Shtus is blown away completely. That's the point that I was going to make in the next section. How do we see that a Yid naturally cannot, it's page Pevez, 6 lines from the top at the full stop. How could we see, where is the acid test? Where's the proof that the only way a Yid could chas v'chalila sin is because of the Ruach Shtus? The test is when there is a situation where there is no room for any mistake, and there's no way to think that by doing what the person is going to do at that point, he will not be separated from the Eibishter, from godliness. Then even the lowest of the low, a very lowly individual, who generally in his behavior does not fulfill Hashem's will, stands in a mode of self-sacrifice, not to go against Hashem's will. Why? Because he knows, through this transgression, he becomes separated from him. God forbid. And as the Friedrich Rebbe writes, and it's also known that in the Basi Legani, the Rebbe would mention a Torah from each of the Rebbes. And as the Mittler Rebbe writes, the Gam Zeh, even someone whose whose ill behavior is so abundant that he's transgressed all the sins in the world, he too will give away his soul, actually give away his soul, for the sanctification of Hashem's name, because he knows shenas and nifrid melikus. Because he knows that if he doesn't, if he's going to follow through with what they're asking him to do in that situation, he becomes separated from godliness. And this is impossible under any circumstances. Right? So when we know, if in a situation where we know that we're becoming obligated from the Eibishter, torn away from Hashem, we go on Mesiras Nefesh. That is really truly the situation in every transgression. It's just that the Ruach Shtus covers it up. But when it comes to Mesiras Nefesh, it comes to a situation where a person comes face to face with either tearing himself away from godliness or giving away one's life, the Ruach Shtus falls away. Now, where is this rooted? Because as we said before, where is Neshamas Yisrael rooted? Neshamas Yisrael are rooted in Sefer Kol Almin, and even higher in Atzmos, the very essence of Hashem. Being that the source of this thing, this giving away one's life to Kiddush Hashem, that the Yid cannot be torn away from the Eibishter under any circumstances. Being that this is rooted in the fact that the souls of Yidden are rooted in the very essence of Hashem, Shulamailam is Chalkas, which is beyond fragmentation. Knis Khalil as mentioned before. Therefore, this Nekuda, this point, what's known as the pint of the Yid, right, is present in each and every Jew. Ubeli Shum is Chalkas Klal, without any fragmentation, without any differences. Meaning, it's in the greatest man, and in the lowest person, equally. They both possess this pint of the Yid. Equally, because it's the very essence. And not only that, the Oitz is even more so. The Gam Kal Shebekalim, even the lowest of the low. When this mode of self-sacrifice is awakened, at that point, all the aspects of a soul coincide with this mode of Mesiras Nefesh, which means the Gam Bedibur Ma'aseh Levad, that even in speech and in action alone, even though his mouth and his heart would not be equal, would not be the same, you have one thing in his heart and one thing in his mouth, he's still in the mode of Mesiras Nefesh. Meaning to say that if a person is told, just say it, even though you don't mean it, right? Just behave, just bow to the idol, as it were, even though you don't believe in it, right? Doesn't matter. The Mesiras Nefesh he won't do that. Why? Because once Mesiras Nefesh, this Nekuda, this Pintel Yid is awakened to the degree of Mesiras Nefesh, it supersedes everything. It permeates his dibur, it permeates his ma'aseh, it's everything. Because this mode of Mesiras Nefesh is beyond fragmentation. And therefore all the powers of the soul become subsumed, are included in this mode of Mesiras Nefesh. That ends Ois Dalet, and please God, tomorrow we will start Ois Hey.